Well, welcome, beautiful souls. I am so grateful you are here tonight. My name is Vicky Falcone, and I'm a soul-centered coach working with spiritual women who want to find their soulmate. I've been a speaker and an author and a coach for 25 years. I'm the author of the book Buddha Never Raised Kids and Jesus Didn't Drive Carpool, Seven Principles for Parenting with Soul, and in the process of writing a book with the very same name of the course that I teach called Finding the Love of Your Life. So I have worked with people who want to transform their relationships, whether it's parenting, couples, single women wanting to find their soulmate, for 25 plus years, and it is my absolute passion. But let me tell you where I started. After my divorce from my first husband, I struggled for years when I was dating. I'd go out on a date. I was absolutely terrified to ask for what I wanted, state my needs. I worried too much. Are they going to like me instead of spending my energy deciding, do I like him? And I attracted emotionally unavailable men over and over again. And then came the ultimate unavailable, emotionally unavailable partner. About 20 years ago, I had just completed my first book and my self-esteem was absolutely flying high. I was about to leave for a 19-city speaking tour for my brand new book when my husband confessed to having an affair. I was beyond devastated. I decided I am literally never going to date again. I'm never, for sure, never going to get married again. But here's what I didn't know then at that time that I know now, that I had so much power to change who I attracted in my life because my relationship with myself at an unconscious level was attracting a particular kind of person. And it was a blueprint for every disappointing relationship that I had. My big healing came when I spent 2 years in a spiritual psychology program earning my master's degree. And then I also got to work with the distinguished Gay Hendricks, who wrote the book Conscious Loving, and did the work to heal very deep blocks to love. I learned to partner with the divine and everything changed. And here I'd like to share with you was my result. Paul and I decided to have a very sweet, small wedding. Talk about speaking our truth. We both started plans for a big wedding in Malibu, and we didn't get too far into planning that when we both said, you know what? What do we really, really want? And here's what we really, really wanted. Just our beloveds, our children, my mom on the beach in Hawaii. So that's what we did. So I've now married my soulmate. We've been married 9 years. We've been together for 14 years. And here's what I want you to hear. If your past relationship experiences have left you feeling exhausted, cynical, and thinking, you know what, this is just never going to happen for me. I get it. I was absolutely there. And by the way, that's a limiting belief I hear over and over. You know what? Maybe it's just not going to happen for me. But there's a greater truth that's working inside of you that's either attracting or repelling a really great partner, an emotionally available partner. And I'm going to show you exactly what that is today. So I want this to be interactive. Here's how we're going to use the chat. If you have a question, later I'm going to open it up for your questions where I can talk with you. I will unmute you, raise your hand, and I'll unmute you, and we can chat and answer your question. And you can put a question in the chat, um, and we're going to make it absolutely interactive. I've added, if you were with me on this last week, based on some feedback from that one, I've added a few new juicy things this week that I think are really going to help you. So let's start with what you're going to learn today. At the top of your handout on page 1, and I'll put that in there one last time for everyone in case you really want the handout and you didn't have it. But we're there, and don't worry if you don't. You're going to still get a lot out of this, even if you don't. But for those of you who have it, at the top of page 1, here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to attract people who are emotionally available for a committed relationship with you. and courageously walk away from people who are not. That's one of the hardest things you're going to hear tonight for people to do. You're going to learn the single brave action all my clients took before attracting their soulmate. I've worked with people for many years. Some people are on here tonight who have met their soulmate. They're going to be willing to share their story and what.
You're still screen sharing. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, honey. Oh goodness. Woo. Okay. Um, my assistant just startled me and told me I was still screen sharing. Okay, thank you. Next time, pass me a note. Thanks. There's my trauma coming out in my body that I've got from childhood still remaining, getting me jumping out of my seat. Some of you can relate. Ah, where were we? The most common challenge spiritual women face. Spiritual women face a specific, unique challenge that I'm going to really talk about that's super important. Even those who meditate daily consider themselves very connected. You're going to learn the specific fear you will need to overcome to call in your beloved and how you can go from information that you're going to get tonight to lasting transformation. Because you probably tried a lot of things already, and knowledge alone does not create change. So I'm going to teach you as much as I can in our time together. I'm going to give you a lot, and then I'm going to show you how, if you want to, go deeper. So who is this for here in this webinar? This is for you if you want to find a soulmate, but you keep attracting unavailable partners. This is for you if you are tired of the same painful patterns showing up with different faces on them. This is for you if you want to understand your part and you're ready to look at that in attracting unavailable people so that you can change it permanently. And one of the things I'm going to share tonight is maybe surprising for some of you. This is for you if you want to feel hopeful about finding love again. So type a yes in the chat if any of those resonate for you. You want to find a soulmate, you keep attracting unavailable partners. Yeah, you're tired of the same pattern, different phase. You want to understand your part. You want to feel hopeful about finding love. So we got a yes from Mary Kay, Terrell, Melissa, Denise, Sammy, Carmen, Cynthia. A lot of yeses, a lot of yeses. So before I get into the specifics and the information, I want to share with you what is actually possible when you do this work. It is absolutely possible. Thank you, Karen, Kelly. Yes, and yes, there. It is absolutely possible to change these patterns that have kept you attracting unavailable partners. I know because not only did I, but many of the women that I've worked with whose stories you're going to hear some of them live and some of them through a couple of their slides tonight. You're going to learn how to love and respect yourself more in relationships. You're going to learn how to date from a place of genuine trust and surrender instead of anxiety and fear. Who can relate to anxiety and fear? Just me? Just put me. Anyone else plagued by anxiety and fear around dating and relationships? Just me, courageously walking away. Exactly what I'm struggling with. Ooh, Terrell, I hear you. That is a really challenging one. Stay tuned. Yes. Maggie is saying me. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I should go back to sharing this again. And what else is possible? You can absolutely call in your beloved, a true soulmate. Absolutely possible. So what I added from last week, someone asked last week a very good, juicy question that I decided to dive into and go deeper into. They said, well, what does it mean to be emotionally available? And I guess I just sometimes forget what I know, that I assume other people know. So I put together a couple of slides to help you understand what this is so that you can be looking for it. Let me get my cursor going here. What does it mean to be emotionally available for a relationship? Now, I just want to preface this by saying I'm assuming you are someone who's looking for a long-term committed partnership. I have absolutely no judgment if you want to do like a friends with benefits thing or casual dating, but literally no judgment. But most people that come here and that I work with are looking for something more substantial. And so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about emotionally available. Here's what it looks like. They're present, engaged, they genuinely listen when you talk about your feelings and show interest in your inner world, not just surface level conversation. I have several people I've worked with coaching who said he never can talk about anything other than like the weather and work and but the genuinely listening is the really big one. They can express their own feelings. They're comfortable sharing what's going on inside them, their hopes, fears, vulnerabilities, rather than keeping everything bottled up or deflecting with humor or anger. And are deflectors with me? I was a major deflecting with humor person for the majority of my life before I learned how to be emotionally available and vulnerable in relationships. Whoops. Oh, do, do, do. Where did we go? There's the next one. They're consistent. Their emotional presence is reliable, not hot and cold. You don't have to guess where you stand or whether they'll be there for you. They're ready for commitment. They have the mental and emotional bandwidth for a relationship. They're not so consumed by past trauma, other relationships, work stress, or personal issues that there's no room for you. A lot of my people have dated very nice people who were not available because they weren't over their exes. They hadn't allowed themselves enough room to heal. So no judgment about that. There's nothing bad or wrong about that, except that that person just, I've had a lot of heartbreak in this very office right here over people who hoped that they would be available and the person just really wasn't. So in short, what's emotionally unavailable? What does that look like? When someone's emotionally unavailable, they may even be physically present. They may show up and go on dates with you, but to you, they feel distant. They avoid deeper conversations, as we mentioned before. They struggle with commitment or seem unable to meet your emotional needs no matter how much you try. Okay, so there's your There's your definition because someone asked last time, and I'm glad they did because that's super helpful for all of you to know that, right? Let me just get my other slide up here. Ready? All right. Now let's talk about what might be blocking you from attracting this kind of emotionally available partner. I've identified 5 common blocks that I see in the women that I work with, and I put that into your handout, and that's where we're going tonight. So these are the 5 things that are I see most commonly that block people from someone who's emotionally available. Block number 1, not being crystal clear in your own mind before you ever go on a date about what you want and need. That's what goes in those first 2 blanks about what you want and need. Not being crystal clear in your own mind before you go on a date about what you want and need and what you will walk away from. What you will walk away from. Someone is asking for the emotional unavailable list again. So I'm going to put that up here for you. Hang tight. I imagine someone else might benefit from that. So we're going to slow down and go back for a moment. This is emotionally unavailable. They may be physically present, but they feel distant. They avoid deeper conversations or seem unable to meet your emotional needs no matter how much you try. Yeah. Okay. I'll let you all meditate on that for a moment. Okay. All right. I'm going to stop the sharing now. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. You're welcome. So, not being crystal clear in your own mind before you go on a date, what you want and need in a relationship, and what you will, equally as important in the next blanks, walk away from. What you will walk away from. I've changed the names of all my client stories except for like three people who've given me absolute permission to use their names in stories, and then I'll let you know that they're real names because they're totally okay sharing. My client Allie came to me after dating a man for 3 months. She was frustrated by what she called his push and pull energy. She really wanted kids and marriage, but she was getting anxious. Here was the problem. She had never stated her needs up front because she was too afraid. So she was waiting for him to bring it up. She was trying to be cool, low maintenance, and she was slowly dying inside. What changed when we started working together is that once she got clear on what she wanted and found the courage to express it in dating, everything shifted. The wrong men revealed themselves quickly, and the right man showed up within 2 months. Type of one, if this resonates with you, where you're too scared to state what you want and need. And by the way, though I work with people of all ages, yes, right, yeah. Those of you who are biologically, your bodies have a certain limit on when you can have children. This is especially important for you. This is extraordinarily important that you, so many people I work with are too scared to say this huge one up front. Like, oh, well, I'm like, what are you waiting for? But it's scary. Let's be honest. There are reasons, usually childhood programming, childhood wounds, that cause us to be terrified to just say what we want. But I'm going to tell you some stories where people were courageous enough to do that. But you're going to have to get to that place, whatever it takes, of the combination of clarity and just simply stating what you need. Here's block number two. So block number one, I call lack of clarity. Block number one is lack of clarity. Block number two is at the top of page 2. You stay too long in relationships that don't meet your needs. You stay in relationships too long that don't meet your needs. Here, just take a deep breath before you say this, write this word down, because I feel you if you relate. You settle. You settle. I'm going to tell you about one of my clients who, and I'm changing her name, had one of the longest stints of, well, settling. I'll say I settled in my whole first marriage. I'd say the vast majority of my first marriage was me settling. And that's no judgment against my first husband. It's just simply a matter of I had certain needs and certain desires and certain wants, and he was just not able to meet them. When that's your situation, you are settling. So my client Jamie slid into a relationship during the lockdowns. Remember those lockdowns? Where a lot of people that I worked with kind of stuck with the person they were with, or even kind of with, because whatever, we were in a massive trauma across the whole planet, right? So she dated this guy before, and then they got together during the lockdowns. He was non-committal in the first round. They had been together for 2 years by the time she started working with me, but she was 38 and wanted children and marriage. And in fact, went through the whole painful, drawn out, intense process of freezing her eggs. And he just kept being wishy-washy and vague whenever she brought up the future. And this one is an absolute powerhouse in business. Very successful woman. But, and this is not uncommon, when it came to love and relationships, she sort of collapsed down into weakness. And she kept asking herself, well, what if I leave Vicky and I don't find anyone better? Does that sound familiar? We'll come back to Jamie's story and I'll let you know what happened in a moment because what she did next changed everything. But type a two in the chat if you can relate to this. Have you stayed too long? Have you settled? I'll put myself in there. Yes, two. Yes, Jennifer, two. Exclamation point, exclamation point. Yes, Melissa, Terrell, Martina, Lisa, yes. Mary Kay, yes. I hear you, I feel you. There are reasons. Kristen, yeah, Sammy. There are reasons we do that, which we're going to get into a little later. But right now we're just naming the pattern. So this block is, I just call number two, staying too long. Staying too long. Block number three, you don't believe it's possible, is what goes in the blank there. You don't believe it's possible to find what you really want, and or you don't feel you deserve love. Ouch, right? Ouch. This belief system is why number two happens. You stay too long in relationships. You settle because you've got a limiting belief. You've got a limiting belief for sure, acting, telling you something like it's not possible or I don't deserve. So very common limiting beliefs I hear. I have some of you know and have attended my free monthly event called Mindful Dating Mondays, and I hear this on there all the time. I hear it from my clients. Here are some really common ones that are absolutely not true. All the good men are taken. I'm too old. I'm too complicated. I'm too much. Maybe I'm meant to be alone. I'm not worthy of real love. If I leave, I won't find any better. And someone who was live on the webinar last week, I don't want to embarrass if she's here again, but when I told her my story of Jamie, the super high power, very successful businesswoman who was struggling so intensely, she typed in the chat, well, successful women have a harder time finding love. And I said, lovingly, respectfully, that is a limiting belief. Do you hear it? They're so common. They're so close to us and they're so unexamined by us that we don't even recognize it a lot of times as a limiting belief. That's why it's so extremely valuable to be in a group or to be working with someone who will lovingly call you out on those. Oh, and I got an email from someone also last week. She said, may I ask if I can have a recording of your session, How to Attract an Emotionally Available Partner this evening? I am starting to think that maybe I am meant to be single without a life partner for the rest of my life, but somehow there's another voice also speaking and with a longing to have a life partner, probably from your coaching sessions. These are so prevalent, and it's some of the most important work that we can do to open ourselves up to love. So, type of three, if you recognize yourself here, that if you recognize that you probably have some limiting belief, all the men are taken, I'm too old, I'm too much, I'm not worthy. If I leave this person, I probably won't find better, Vicky. I won't. I know you're talking about these people you work with, but I'm an exception. Oh, Kristen, 33333, Terrell, Maggie, Melissa, Marianne, yes, Denise, I hear you, I hear you, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. I'm with you. By the way, I had all of these, so I have tremendous hope for you. Number four, you have unhealed attachment wounds from childhood. You have unhealed attachment wounds from childhood, number four. Now, this person is herself a coach and a therapist and has given me permission to use her real name. You're going to see a photo of her later. Her name is Rochelle. She came to me into this office, into these exact chairs right here in a very high conflict relationship with her boyfriend. As we dug deeper, we discovered that her attachment wounds were causing her to stay long past the time when men made it clear that they weren't interested in a long-term committed relationship. That there's that fear, right? That fear and anxiety. And speaking of anxiety, that's the root word of anxious attachment style, which Rochelle had done a lot of work on herself and understood that she had an anxious attachment style from childhood, which meant she would cling harder whenever men pulled away. This pushed them away further, which made her more anxious, which is absolutely a vicious cycle for her. And the truth is that your current relationships, your patterns were formed in your very first relationships, usually with your caregivers, sometimes your siblings, but usually your caregivers, your parents. So until you look at those and really heal those wounds, you will keep reenacting them. So maybe attachment wounds and attachment styles, that's very new for you. But if you resonate with this one, put a 4 in the chat if this one resonates. Anyone recognize yourself there? There's anxious attached, avoidant, or my really fun one, which is anxious and avoidant. Jennifer, 4, yeah, attachment styles. Denise, Martina, Melissa, Mary, I see a lot of 4s. Yeah, Maggie, a 4. Yeah, okay, so some of you have some awareness of this, and we can do things to heal this. We absolutely can. And it's helpful to be aware of it so that we can start to work on it and change our way of being. All right, so block number 4. Oops. Attachment wounds, right? So block number 5. Now this one can take a lot of, this one can take, oh, Renee is also a 4. Yeah. Number 5, this one can take a lot of courage. Now, I know there was a person who was on Mindful Dating Mondays last night. So if any of you were there, you saw this unfold in a question that she had with me. Um, but she was sharing about, she was sort of coming to understand number 5 in real time as I was coaching her last night. Even though you say you want love, number 5, bottom of page 2, it's possible that you, so it goes in that first blank, it's possible that you may not be emotionally available for a relationship. Even though you say you want love, it's possible that you may not be emotionally available for a relationship. Now, these are something in spiritual psychology that we learned. And welcome. I know I see at least 2 of my fellow University of Santa Monica spiritual psychology grads here. Welcome. Hello. Um, this is the one I think I work on the most currently today in my relationship with Paul. We have a great relationship, and the number one reason I get upset is this one is a projection, and this one's a little bit tricky and hides a little bit, where we get upset. So how projections work is we get upset about how someone is behaving, and we may say that to them or we don't say it to them. It sort of doesn't matter, but we get upset. But what's really at work is that they are reflecting back to us ways that we are with ourselves. They are reflecting back to us ways that we are with ourselves. So I have worked with clients, and this woman who became aware of it yet last night on Mindful Dating Mondays. She's like, "Oh dear, I think it might be me who's not emotionally available." Oh my gosh, I sort of said it as a possibility, and she said, "Oh goodness, yes, I think it's really me." So we project, so signs that you may not be emotionally available is that one of the easiest to identify is you're still attached to an ex. It's just impossible. And this is what, a lot of the women I work with are dating people who are still attached to their exes. It hasn't been long enough. One woman was dating a man who was in a 14-year marriage. And in his 40s, in his wife's 40s, she died of cancer. Tragic, absolutely tragic, right here, right at my neighbor practically. And he was not over that, and she was really hurt. But he told her in the beginning, he said, I don't know, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But if you're still attached to an ex or they are still attached to an ex and they really haven't done the processing and the healing, that is really going to be problematic. And I don't want you to waste your time. If you're with someone or you yourself in that situation. Another projection that can come up is you're overly focused on your career to avoid intimacy. I'm a recovering workaholic. I have been in times in my life where I just was absolutely obsessed with work and career. I don't know that I did it to avoid intimacy, but some people can do that. You may say, you know what, I do want love, but you never make any time for dating. Right? You choose people you know won't commit. This one happens on a subconscious level. You choose people that you know won't commit so that you don't have to either. And that one takes a little bit more digging to get under and heal that one. So this one may make you uncomfortable, but if you're brave and you recognize yourself, put a 5 in the, oh, Jennifer's saying, I've done that. Choose people who won't commit. Yeah, ouch. It's painful. Yeah. 5, yes. Okay, so several people, Jennifer, Terrell, Melissa, Zoom user, Marion. Yeah, where you recognize, oh yeah, actually it's me. Cynthia, Maggie. Yes, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah. And that's, that's a this one took me longer to understand in my dating process. I think that I was I was attracting people a lot who were not emotionally available because my fear. I was so afraid of being hurt that I was unconsciously attracting people who were players, who just wanted something very, very superficial. Oh, a lot of 5s in here. Okay. All right. So let's turn to the top of page 3 on the handout and talk about something really important, the single brave action that all my clients took before attracting their soulmate. Now, some took it before they started working with me, and a lot of them took it when they were working with me, but they all took it. And this is me sitting down and thinking and praying and writing and wanting to get clear, like, what are the patterns? I'm really interested in patterns and things that are real universal for almost all humans. And that's how I came up with this one. They courageously walked away from emotionally unavailable partners. That's what goes in those blanks. They courageously walked away from emotionally unavailable partners. Now this takes a lot. So remember Jamie, the one who was in lockdowns with the wishy-washy guy for 2 years. Well, after we started working together, I had her get one of the first steps we did, which is one of the first steps we do in the 8-week course, Finding the Love of Your Life, that I'm going to be talking about a little bit later. But the first thing we did, I'm like, she's like, what do I do about him? What do I do about him? What do I do about him? And I'm like, you know what? Let's just put him aside for a minute and let's you get clear. Like, just put him out of your mind as much as you can. What do you want in a relationship? Like him aside. And we took the time to do that work and have her get very clear about what she wanted. So here's what happened. They had stopped dating. They had moved out. They were basically moved living together, and she got her own place. And she was working with me for maybe 3 months or so, maybe 2 months. And he reached back out to her. And this really triggered her, and wanting to have dinner. So let me back up just a moment. One of his patterns with her She felt very strongly, and it sure did sound like that he was with her. Remember, she was the one that was massively successful in her business. I'm just gonna call her business real estate. That's not her business, but just to kind of give an example, he was constantly asking her for her information and contacts for to grow his own real estate business, we're gonna call it. Right. And that was very disturbing to her. So it's like when we got on paper the stuff this guy was doing, it was so clear to me this was like a no, 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 no way. But he reaches out, let's have dinner. She's like, she was hopeful and she was triggered and she was nervous and fearful. She said, well, maybe he's come around. Maybe he's come around. So she's like, "Can I text you? We are going to dinner on Sunday night." Now I'm very good. Remember, I'm a recovering workaholic, so I have good boundaries with my clients. I don't work on the weekends, but she she was so triggered that I'm like, "Yes, you can text me." So she texted me on Sunday night. And she's like, I am so upset I can't even see straight. She said, we have this lovely dinner at a five-star restaurant in Santa Monica on the beach. She's like, it was lovely, lovely, lovely. She's like, we're an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes in. The dessert has come, and he leans over and he's like, so I just wonder if you can give me some of your contacts. I've been developing something in the Palm Springs area, and I just wonder, I just know you have such great contacts, and I just wonder if you could share those with me, right? So this guy was doing the same thing he's always done. People usually don't change, you know. And Wayne Dyer said, when people show you who they are, believe them. And so we must have had a phone call, I think, at some point. And I said to her, she said, what do I do? And I'm like, you have to end it. This man is showing you in every way, you know. And she said to me, I crafted a really clean, clear text that was like, seems like you're looking for something else. I'm looking for a committed relationship. I prefer you not be in contact with me anymore and not ask me for any business things. And she said to me, are you sure if I do this, I will find someone better? I took a deep breath and I'm like, I absolutely promise you, because I will tell you that is what I believe. That I believe that when we walk away, and it's the whole teaching of spiritual psychology and a lot of other new thought wisdom, that if you walk away, you create a vacuum, a space where what you want can land. And she was terrified, let me tell you. So, what's Jamie's limiting belief? Who can identify and put in the chat? What was her limiting belief in this situation? Why was she absolutely terrified to do this? Yes, exactly, Terrell. She wouldn't find anyone better. She couldn't find anyone worse than that. If I let go, I'll be alone. Exactly. I won't find anyone better. There's no one for me. I'm not good enough. Sure, of course, lack of self-respect. Absolutely. But the big one that was terrifying her is like, that's why she said to me, are you sure? Can you tell me, Vicky? She's an intense businesswoman that she said, can you guarantee me? And of course, I really actually can't guarantee anything, but I absolutely believe so deeply, yeah, that. So her belief is, I'm not going to find anyone better if I let go of this guy. Okay, but she did it and she was shaking and she was crying and she was an absolute emotional wreck. Okay. But she did it and you talk about courage, right? We said this, but like here it is in action. It's like the single bravest thing that they did, circle that word courageously. It takes so much courage and usually a lot of support to walk away from these people that are not really available. So she texts me on Monday. So that was Sunday night. She texted me on Monday. She said, I think I probably know what you're going to say, but what do you think about me going back on the dating apps today? So I said, I don't recommend that. I think you need a little bit of time to heal. You're pretty triggered. You're pretty triggered. And, but she ignored my advice. Sometimes people do, and sometimes it works out for them. On Wednesday, I kid you not, this is my fastest turnaround story. And let me tell you how people text me when they find their person. Because when people have not found their person, they will text me or they will tell me in a session with me. They're like, "What do you think about this? Let me tell you about this guy. What do you think, Vicky?" That's how it sounds. Here's how her message was. So she went on the dating apps on Monday, had a date on Wednesday. On Thursday, I get a text. "I think I met my person." Yeah. I think I met my person. She's like, "We were so relaxed." She's 39 at that point. He's 48. Neither of them have been married before. On their first date, they're both like, "Do you want kids?" They're like, "Yeah." They're like, "Yeah, we're too old to just mess around and not get honest. Like, we want marriage, we want kids, we want commitment, no games, no playing it cool." They're both like, "Yeah, do you like animals?" Like, "Yeah, I love animals. I want a backyard full of animals." And he lit up. He said, "I have been praying for a woman who knew what she wanted and can just say it." Right? And again, this woman was a powerhouse in business, tough negotiator, went to an Ivy League college because of her conditioning and how she was raised, crumbling, in relationships. They are married and they welcomed their first child last year. They got married in 6 months, not something I usually recommend, but they both knew what they wanted. They knew what they wanted, and she's on a time clock, right? So they have their precious little baby last year. So here's what made the difference. She trusted spirit enough to walk away from the wrong person. She changed her limiting belief even just a little bit. She actually rode on my belief until her belief completely landed on her, which is what I do with a lot of my clients. From "I won't find better" to "my person is out there and I'm making room for him." Right? She didn't fully believe it when I said that to her. She got clear what she wanted before dating this guy. We'd already done that together. And then she had the courage to state her needs up front. That's the work. That is the work, and it changes everything. So, the second part of this, the single brave action my clients all took before attracting their soulmate, the second part is this. They were able to do this because they trusted spirit or the divine or God, whatever your word is. They trusted spirit and they changed their limiting beliefs. It's not easy to do. But think about this. If I walk around in the world and my belief is I'm probably not going to find better, and I believe that, I'm going to do all kinds of things that push away deep soul love. I'm going to accept relationships that don't really serve me. All right. Any questions about that? It's a juicy one, isn't it? It's a juicy one. The spiritual solution. Let's all just take a deep breath right here. And open your body and your consciousness for the spiritual solution to come in. Take another deep breath. You just kind of shake your arms and let's just say the shortest prayer out there. Just, "Spirit, come here. I'm inviting you in." It's just the simplest prayer. I'm inviting you in, Spirit. How long have they been together to this day? They got married in July. Had a baby in October. So three years plus a few months. 3 years plus a few months. Yeah. And they're happy. They're so in love. They're so in love. They have issues because they've come to me because when you get into a relationship, it triggers up unhealed wounds and old family patterns. So no one is without issues, but they're very happy and very in love and very into their child, right? There's something about those older people who have kids, man, they are into it. They don't take it for granted. The spiritual solution. So the most common challenge spiritual women face on their search for love is This is the condition that I suffered from on the first date that I went on after my marriage, where I'm all like, is he gonna like me? What kind of makeup should I put on? What should I have the short skirt or oh maybe it's too low cut. But what do I wear? What do I say? What do I do? Oh, I hope he likes me. When we succumb to fear, doubt, and worry because we have forgotten, we're in the middle of page 3 right now, because we have forgotten God, we are suffering from something called spiritual amnesia. Spiritual amnesia. I learned this terminology from one of my beloved teachers, Dr. Robert Holden from London, UK. He is a very well-known coach, especially in Europe. He wrote Louise Hay, the last book Louise Hay they wrote together. It's called Life Loves You. And Paul and I both had the great good fortune of him being our teacher we both took the master's program in spiritual psychology, and then we both went on to take the coaching program. And Robert, it was one of the just most divine beings on the planet, was our teacher, and he shared this story. He shared this term that even us spiritual people can suffer from, where we forget who's got our back. And he shared a story about he had written a book about happiness. That's one of his areas of expertise. And he turned in the book and he had this kind of letdown response, which I know how that is. It's like when you finish a big project, a lot of times you just have this big letdown response where it's a little bit like depressive feeling. And so he went downstairs from where he lives in his flat in the UK and grabbed a magazine and a candy bar. He's like, I'm going to get a candy bar in this magazine. And the magazine said, How to Be Happy. 5 experts weigh in. He's like, what the heck? I'll see if I get some inspiration from this book. Candy bar goes back upstairs to his flat, opens the magazine. Expert number 3 is Robert Holden himself. It's him. And so, he had forgotten that he had turned in this article, right, so long ago. That yeah, he'd absolutely forgotten. And but that it can happen to all of us. This man has studied the Course in Miracles for 35 years, I think. Speaking of which, the Course in Miracles has my absolute favorite quote that addresses this thing called spiritual amnesia. And here it is from A Course in Miracles. This is it. This is what we all do, especially spiritual women. So I want you to be easy on yourself. This is what we do. Oops, where'd it go? Huh. Well, that's interesting. Let me stop my share and see if I can fix it so you can see it. Because it's a good one. Okay, here it is. If you are trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. All right. And that's even as a spiritual person that has a great belief in spirit and the divine, and I meditate and I pray and yeah, it's just the world pulls us so hard in so many directions that it's easy to forget who we have behind us. My spiritual teacher, the spiritual center I go to called the Agape Spiritual Center, is led by Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. He says this another way. He said, instead of going to God and telling God about all your big problems, why don't you go to your problems and tell them about your big God? Right? It's the same thing. And it's what those of us on a spiritual path are oftentimes having to work with. So if you're trusting your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. So, what's the answer? What is the answer? Well, for those of us who are dating, there's a few things that are the answer. Um, and one of my answers is the course called Finding the Love of Your Life, which is designed to help you learn how to deepen your partnership, even for spiritual women who can get some forget also with spirit. Me. And here's what happens in that 8-week program. We have several graduates here tonight. In week one, partner with the divine to attract the love you deserve. Learn a sacred process for connecting with the divine that magnetizes love. It's simple, sacred, and one that can be forgotten easily. Discover how to harness the power of your intention to increase the chances that you will succeed. And discover what's more important than visualization or law of attraction for calling in big love. We hinted to it a little bit tonight about getting extremely clear. Um, the balance is getting extremely clear and also being detached. Week two, remove your hidden barriers to love. Here's where we take a deep dive into limiting beliefs. Understand the power of your beliefs to repel or invite love. Uncover and heal the big three. There's a big three that virtually everyone, in fact, I don't know anyone that doesn't have these big three have, and what you need to do to up level those, and how to move from self abandonment to self acceptance. If any of you are like me, you get into relationships and you have a pattern of abandoning yourselves. Anyone, just put a me in there. If anyone else has ever had that pattern of, oh, yes, I'm in this wonderful relationship. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, whoop, there went Vicky. Okay. Wow, a lot of me's there. Cheryl, Zoom, Denise, two Denises, me, Melissa, Jennifer, I hear you. Week three, first things first, how to love yourself more. People talk about this, about how to love yourself more. A lot of people don't understand that that translates to some really specific actions. So, the actions you need to take to genuinely love yourself more, how to put an end to the destructive negative self-talk that is so common. Learn a powerful way to help you make clear decisions as you date. And I'm going to actually give you a little taste of that one here tonight in a few minutes. Learn a powerful way to help you make clear decisions as you date. Week four, co-creating. We want to co-create with spirit to rewrite your love story. Discover which childhood relationship most impacts your love life today. How to heal the childhood patterns that have kept you longing for love. And practical ways to partner with the divine to facilitate deep healing. Week five is reclaim your power. This is where we go really deeply into projections that I mentioned here tonight. The ways we give our power away in relationships, how to stop, how to heal from and let go of attachments to past loves, if you've got that going on, and a unique way to learn from mistakes of past relationships so they never happen again. There's a specific way to bring love, compassion, and understanding to our past mistakes that really transmutes them into fodder for healthier relationships. I love teaching that. It's one of the absolute foundational principles of spiritual psychology. Week six is clearing the blocks to authentic self-expression, right? If we want to meet our person, we've got to be out there being ourselves and not contorting ourselves. Those of us, anyone else recovering from codependency, where you contorted yourselves to get love, right? Well, if we learn that as kids, we bring it into romantic relationships. So, how do you release the hidden blocks that have kept you afraid to fully express yourself? The two words you need to stop saying now if you want to be true to yourself. And how do you show up more authentically in your dating and in life? I showed up for years practicing this, being my authentic self before dating. Week seven, I said codependency. Here we go really into it. Most of us are codependent, meaning we have an over focus on another at the expense of ourselves. Most of us have codependency at some level. Um, and so most of us have something to heal around it. The relationship between a particular kind of codependency and your dating struggles, The most powerful question you can ask yourself to heal from codependency and create healthy relationships. We get really practical here. How to go from feeling desperate or discouraged to cultivating deep trust. Week 8, fearless dating. Let go and let God. The two shifts you need to make to feel peaceful and detached as you date. All right, well, I'll stop there because let's talk about these three R's here that are on the last page of your handout, page 4 of your handout. How do you go from information, which we talked about earlier, to a lasting transformation? Please show the last slide again, that week 8 slide. Let me see if I can get it here. Let's see if I can get it. Here it is. Oops. Fearless dating. Let go and let God is what we do in week 8. The two shifts you need to make to feel peaceful and detached as you date. And how do you actually genuinely let go and let God? Oh, admin, thank you, admin. One of our favorite quotes from Robert Holden is speaking of being your authentic self, which I said here. Thank you for dropping that in here. One of my favorite Robert Holden quotes of all time. He just put in there, if there's something missing from my life, it's probably me. Right. Oof. And how in the world do you go about going and getting yourself back? It's a journey, but the three R's are some of the answer to that. So how do you go from information, which we're doing here tonight, to transformation? Information alone, you probably know, does not create transformation. If it did, we could read a book and change our life. Wouldn't that be absolutely great? If we could read the book, listen to a podcast. Maybe you've been to therapy even, but you may still be in a pattern. Well, why? Because researchers have discovered that creating lasting change are the key words here. They require three specific elements, these three R's. Fast Company journalist Alan Deutschman, in his book Change or Die, identifies these three patterns that creates change that really lasts. He calls them the three R's, and all three must be present. All three must be present. Number one is relate. The first R is relate. What does that mean? Relate means you must find a mentor, someone who has been where you are, healed themselves, and is now experiencing life in the way you would like to. So that can be anything from staying fit, being a better parent, getting better workouts in the gym. You need to form a relationship with your mentor, or the mentor can also be a community. This is the foundation of 12-step programs. And one of the things that makes them highly effective is that the mentor is a group, and then sometimes also you would have a sponsor, someone else in that group. But you need to form a relationship with that group or the individual person that gives you hope. They must believe you have the ability to change, possess specific methods and strategies for creating the results you want, and hold you accountable with love. So it's my deep honor to be able to offer you that first R. You can't do this alone. The same thinking that got you here won't get you out. And we need a pattern interrupt. My biggest pattern interrupt was working with Gay Hendricks, number 2. And number 1 was my master's degree in spiritual psychology, where I got all three of these R's. Number 2 is reframe. You've heard a little bit about this here tonight. Reframe. This one has to do with your limiting beliefs. So you need to allow your new relationship to help you learn new ways of thinking about your situation and your life. Your limiting beliefs about yourself, like I'm not worthy, I'm too old. I hear that one all the time. All the good men are taken. Need to be identified and transformed into beliefs that support your growth. This doesn't happen by accident. It requires specific tools and practices. So number 2 is reframe. Got to get in there and someone's got to help you over and over and over. Nope, that's not true. What if that's not true? How would you act if that wasn't true? That's Byron Katie's word. Number three is repeat. Repeat. You need to practice new habits. If you want to create lasting change, you've got to rely on the new mentoring relationship to help you learn, practice, and master new habits and skills. One webinar won't do it, one book won't do it, one coaching session won't do it. You need consistent support over time to integrate the new patterns at a cellular level. So, for the past 5 years, I've been guiding women through this transformation in my 8-week course called Finding the Love of Your Life. This, all three R's are present in this beautiful container of this work. Relate, you'll have me as your mentor, and you'll also have a sacred sisterhood of women supporting you. Reframe, we'll identify and transform your limiting beliefs about love and worthiness. And you're going to repeat over the 8 weeks plus 2 additional coaching sessions. You'll practice tools and you'll start to actually create new neural pathways that that's what causes you to show up differently. All right. Hmm. Let's see. There we go. So this could be you. Some of you, if you were with me last week, I've received this one since I had my last session. Hello, I wanted to text you because I have some very fun news that I wanted to share with you. I am engaged to be married to the sweet, kind, strong, smart, aware, handsome, growing man that I met 4 years ago while I was in your program. We are so happy, so stinking excited, and I am so deeply joyful and proud that I did the inner work, shifting and forgiving and boundary setting that needed to be done to get here. Life is so cool. She did some of her biggest work around attachment. She is like me, anxious and avoidant, and she doesn't want her name to be said here, but this is the moment that he surprised her. This is completely, totally, possibly can be you. Yeah. Rochelle, who I mentioned, this is her getting surprised by her fiance this is her post on Instagram in Mexico. Completely shocked and surprised. All her friends flew down there and he proposed. And this is her text to me. Tom proposed. I just love my text messages sometimes. You know, as far as the I'm too old, this is my beloved client who's with us here tonight and her beloved. And she met him in her 70s. And would you like to speak, dear one? Fancy? Let's unmute Fancy. Um, admin. Let me see if I might need to stop sharing.
I got it. I mean, it looks like
Yes. Hello.
hi.
Welcome.
Yeah, so well I'd love to share with other women how uh Vicky's work impacted me. Um
Oh,
let me just get composed here. I took a few classes with Vicky and I had relationships my whole life that I had a 20-year marriage and I don't know. After a while, I went, these all go to shit. And what's the common denominator? Me. I'm the one that's always there. And somehow she was on a mailing list somewhere. I got connected to Vicky and started going to the Monday evening, Monday dating. I can't remember what you call it.
Mindful dating Mondays.
Mindful dating Mondays. And and she started talking about some classes that she was, so I took, I think 3 of them at least, and I kept going to the Mindful Dating Monday. And there was started out, I think even before one of the classes, I got that non-negotiable list that you have. I made the list of non-negotiables. I was on the dating app already, so as I dated people, I added to my list. Well, okay, no, no broken, no guys with a broken windshield. Yeah, I mean, it was, what you run into. But anyway, so I think it was the third class I took, I did all the work, and there was a lot of journaling and a lot of the work with beliefs and reframing and looking at how I was thinking about things, and really intentional, really good journaling prompts that I could, questions that I could answer. And I don't know, something happened, and I'm still in the dating app. I think I dated, I don't know, met 19 or 20 by this time, and something shifted. I don't know. I couldn't explain what it was, but some of that deep work came to a head. And a week later, I met Craig. I mean, it was like I shifted, and, I realized that all that old programming and working on changing the beliefs and how I was thinking about things. I have some of this stuff written down because I was thinking about it since I knew I was going to be here, and I needed to get to a certain level so I could attract who I was looking for. I wanted to attract the person I wanted to be. I wanted to attract the same kind of person. And so I had to become that. That's kind of how I look at it now. And someone else who's been doing the work on their boundaries, on their feelings, on what they want, what they desire, what they deserve, their openness, someone with the same intention as me to have a loving relationship. And so anyway, I met Craig, and when it looked like things were taking off, I got really scared because I was so attracted to him, and I thought, wow, okay, I had this shift, but I don't know if I'm ready for all this, and I don't know if I can navigate this. He was present, and all these good things that she mentioned. So I signed up to be her client for a while because I really needed support in that, and and even and that helped me more even to reframe things. Like I had oh my gosh, he was 20 minutes late to pick me up on my first date. Oh, what do I do? What and you get into these loops of making assumptions of things without really backing up and saying, wait, what's really true? And I just um she had some really good advice. She always said, go inside. I mean, that's kind of the crux of her teaching, is whenever I said, well, what do I'm not sure how to handle, go inside, go inside, go inside. So she wasn't going to tell me, but I was able to go inside. The other thing she would say is give him the space to let him show you who he is. And show up and be in the moment. And all those 3 things really were helpful to me. And because, I needed to get to a place where I trusted myself enough to discern that this one deserves a chance. And I absolutely couldn't make that distinction until I had done, a lot of that work, which kind of became a practice.
How long
I
have you and Craig been together now?
will be 4 years in January.
Wow, time flies. Wow, Fancy. Thank you so, so much for sharing your heart
I'm
here.
gonna I'm gonna be 75 in February.
There you go.
We're
So I
going,
don't want to hear anyone telling me they're too old,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it's one of those limiting beliefs.
It's exactly a limiting belief. Yeah. Ah,
Okay.
that is it. Thank you so much for that heartfelt share, Fancy. I really, really appreciate it.
Well,
Oh, wow. So Take a deep breath right here. Yeah, just take a deep breath. And there's Fancy and her sweetie on the beach. Um, I love those pictures. So here's my invitation to you. This is me and Paul when we're babies in this picture 14 years ago. He was helping me film some parenting videos, and my good friend snapped this candid photo of us. This is us. Was super important on my list of non-negotiables as a man who is deeply spiritual, and this is us at a Deva Parmal chanting event. It's not a great picture, but it captures the energy of us. My invitation is this: to get the support that you so deserve and need, and join us in this sisterhood of transformation. Here's what's included. We're going to do 8 live, just like this, weekly sessions with me over Zoom. Deep transformation, not surface fixes. Each session will run 75 to 90 minutes with plenty of time for Q&A and connection. In addition, outside of that are 2 bonus group coaching calls where you'll receive one-on-one and group coaching from me on your specific issues. It can be, some people I've shared it's extremely healing and transformative to watch other people get coached. And others have said, no, the most transformative thing about that was my one-on-one. It just depends. Recordings of each session so you don't miss a thing. Those are going to be available for a full year after the course ends. And supportive handouts that help you remember and take action on what you're learning, right? These similar to what you've got tonight. There's a whole philosophy behind this kind of handout and theory, learning theory in the handouts that helps you remember. And a sacred sisterhood of women who are for each other, lovingly holding each other accountable. So that's the first R of having someone you can relate to is me, but it's equally the sisterhood also. So the live course is $597. So the course comes with a full money back guarantee. Sign up today if you don't like it for any reason. Just let me know on week 2 of the course. So you're going to take 2 of the sessions and I will cheerfully refund your money. So again, the next course starts Tuesday, October 21st, 6 o'clock Pacific time over Zoom, 75 to 90 minutes, just depending on what we're talking about that night. So you can go here to my website to enroll. I'll put that VickiFalcone.com, but I'm going to also drop the link in here for you to get a direct link. It's not going to mention the bonus, so I'll send you a separate email. It's not going to mention the bonus when you sign up, but just trust that you'll get to practice trusting. So here's the link to sign up. You'll just get to practice trusting that I'll know who's signed up by 9 p.m. and then you'll get a special invite to the Zoom session with Paul and I. So uh, one of the things that Fancy mentioned that was on one of the slides that you may have sort of breezed by is this idea of going inside. And it's so incredibly simple, but it's what I do when my clients come to me and say, well, what should I do about, what should I do about it? It's the first place I take people to go. So here's my invitation for you to try it on right now. Close your eyes if you can. If you're not driving, put your hand on your heart, go inside, take a deep breath right here. Slow down. Exhale. Is it my time to take this course right now? The body immediately gave you an answer. Second question. If it's a year from now or 6 months from now and I have not taken this, is that okay with me? And any answer is perfectly fine. But I make up you didn't end up here by accident. Your soul led you here because you were here for, you want this transformation. And my invitation is whatever your body said, is to listen. Let me stop my screen share now. So with that, I'm going to open it up to see if anyone has any questions. I'm going to grab my reading for tonight. Raise your hand if you have a question or type it in the chat. Raise your hand or type it in the chat. Can someone share the first blockade? Not sure what the first blockade is. Everyone will get a recording of this. It will come tomorrow. So you will have this recording of the webinar. And thank you indeed, Fancy. All right, so if you want to ask me a last chance, oh, good, Carol. Terrell, could we unmute Terrell? Or I think I can. Thank you. Hi, Terrell.
Hi there. So, if I'm not ready to do the 8-week course just yet, do you have like a newsletter or can we continue to do the Mindful Mondays, or I guess how would that work, from here?
I do send out a newsletter. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos that have little short videos. I used to send out these 3 to 5 minute videos. I'm going back to be doing those. Mindful Dating Mondays is the second Monday of every month. So I put my website there. So that will always be there on my websites. And that's continuing on. Those of you in my meetup group is now 2,300 people, which is just incredible. And I'm planning to keep going with Mindful Dating Mondays. Yes, you're welcome. So that's the best way to get your Q&A with me. And I'll do all kinds of other things, all kinds of other. So if you're on my email list, you'll get all of it.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. This is super valuable. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
this.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
What is tomorrow, Cynthia? Tomorrow is the deadline for signing up to get the bonus of the Ask Us Anything session with Vicky and Paul. Tomorrow, so I'm going to send you the link tomorrow to this recording. And also, that'll be your chance to sign up for the bonus. All right. I will end with a closing reading from Marianne Williamson's book. Oh, thank you, Fancy. Book of Prayers called Illuminata. Illuminata, page 151. Prayer to attract great love. Dear God, I feel an empty space within me, a place where I would so love to love. I know that if my beloved came here, I would adore and cherish, honor and serve him. Please give me the opportunity to expand my heart into the life of another in the holiest way, the most beautiful way, the most intimate way, if that serves your purpose. First, I would learn the secrets of love and use what I learned to grace the life of another. What a marvelous possibility, Lord, that such a treasure would be placed in my hands. Please do this. I will try my best. Amen. All right, dear ones, I'm going to just allow us all to, can we just allow everyone to unmute? Not sure if I can do it from here. Okay, there. I think I did it. Everyone can now unmute yourself if you'd like to say a sweet good night to everybody. Thank you for being here.
Good night. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
What
Thank
page
you.
did you read from Illuminata?
151, 151.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
get that book.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Marianne.
Thank
Nancy, thank you
you.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Have
Thanks.
fun with that beautiful man.
Mary left, Macari left, Rose left.
I'm still here. Thank you so much, Vicki. And I look forward to writing a letter of thanks about this last meeting.
Oh, thanks, Renee. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Oh, maybe is that my internet? Okay. All right.
See you soon. Thank you.
See you soon, Denise.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.